Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. On Tuesdays, we kind of talk to just different people about different things. Today we're happy to have KrystaLyn Sofia on the show. KrystaLyn is also an astrologer, and I know sometimes on this Tuesday we get psychics and things, but you're KrystaLyn. You identify as astrologer proper, right?
I'm an astrologer and a psychic medium and a folk magician, so kind of covering the whole range there.
Okay. What do you do as a psychic medium?
I'll give consultations to people or go into spaces and, see what's in there if there's anything that needs to be clarified. Mostly my job is translating. If things need sort of balancing in one way or another, I do that in a fair way for both the energy that is in the place and the person who needs to exist there in the physical. So it's usually about finding compromise and making sure everything gets heard.
Interesting. So, am I allowed to talk about your chart?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Crystalline has a moon and Pluto conjunction in Scorpio, which I found interesting,
In the
which
first house. Yeah.
the first house, which seems kind of psychic medium, clear energy kind of
Well,
situation.
and it's in a grand trine with water or grand water trine with Mars and Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer.
Oh wow. So that is
Mhm.
definitely a healer of the psychic realms.
I do my best.
Okay, interesting. So what tell us about you're a folk magician?
Yeah, so I actually started my whole like intuitive esoteric journey with healing because I needed it. So when I was 10, I needed a brain surgery and I was introduced to someone who was helping me sort of just prepare my energy for this surgery. And they taught me how to meditate, center, connect, see energy, move energy, all that kind of stuff. And then after this surgery, which went pretty crazy, I started doing more research into all of that. So I went down some healing avenues and discovered that I had a family lineage of Eastern German um, folk magic that came over to Pennsylvania and became Pennsylvania Dutch folk magic, which is colloquially known as powwow, but I find that to be a misnomer. So I don't use that word.
Mhm.
Um, so it's traditionally known as braucherei, which is just to try. So your whole concept in braucherei is you're going to try to bring balance or healing to a situation, but it's between the divine, that person, and you as a facilitator.
Hmm. Interesting. So is that something you do in consultations as well, or is that just kind of a way of life?
It's both. Yeah, I will be someone's folk magician and do spells and things on their behalf. If they ask me to, I tell them like they tell me what they need. I'll kind of tell them this is my plan. What do you like? What don't you like? And then I will do this for you on a whatever kind of basis. Right now, like I have a client that I'm working on Thursdays and Fridays for, given the context of what they're hoping to achieve.
Interesting. So
Mhm.
Do
what
you wait? I have a question about this. When you're saying like so on Thursdays and Fridays, are you following like moon cycles or other things? I mean,
Yeah.
Thursday has a special significance, Friday does as well.
Mhm.
Like, are you lining this up with your transits, with the person's transits, with
I
the
am, if I am
energy?
aware of the person's chart, I will line it up with their transits. I typically align things with my own natal chart and transits that are appropriate because as the conduit, I want to make sure I'm a very clean vessel in that sense, or a very good vessel. And also, waxing moon for increase, waning moon for decrease, that kind of thing. So it really depends on what the topic is that they're looking for, what the astrology allows for. If I can bring it in, I absolutely will. I am a trained astrological magician. I studied under Chris Warnock. And so sometimes, though, astrology just isn't the best timing. You have a sky that's really just not cooperating, but someone still needs something. And that's where folk magic really comes in handy.
Oh, I see. Do you know anything about chaos magic? Does Christopher Warnock do of that? I'm not
Um,
familiar with him so much, so.
yeah, Christopher Warnock is more traditional. So you stick with Renaissance era magic. Ficino,
Mhm.
Agrippa, William Lilly are some Picatrix are some of the primary sources you use. Um, I personally am not very into the chaos magic thing. I've got a lot of earth in my chart as well, and Saturn is pretty strong. So I like to get into the traditions and
Mhm.
kind of structure of it. I know chaos magicians. I'm in the circle of psychics and magicians and that kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
do have several friends who are into that.
Ah, right. Ah, maybe. Yeah,
Christopher
yeah. Maybe if you
Warren
had more Uranus in your chart, or a
Yeah, my
stronger.
Uranus is conjunct Neptune and Saturn. So
oh,
Ah, right. So Saturn's always kind of a wet blanket on things.
mhm.
I like him.
Well, yeah, and
He
actually,
grounds them.
that came
Yeah.
out a little pejorative. Like,
Yeah.
actually, I'm just thinking of my chart. Saturn's kind of like,
Mm,
I feel like a Saturn's kind of a wet blanket in my chart because it's on my Venus. But
yeah.
maybe for other people, they're like, oh, it's giving me the good structure that I need, right?
It anchors my Jupiter. It's opposite my Jupiter, which is exalted in the ninth. And so Jupiter would go completely into the
Hmm.
the imaginal realm if he
Oh,
could. But
yeah.
Saturn's like, hey, we can actually do something in the physical realm too. And so they really balance each other.
Ah, yeah, right on.
Well, you have
Mhm.
Jupiter and Cancer and Saturn and Capricorn. That's very strong. That's
Yeah.
there's a name for
Yeah.
that in Hellenistic. I can't remember what it is when two planets are that strong and then they're aspected. Sorry, Jay-Z, we're gonna say something else.
No, no, I'm done.
Okay, so KrystaLyn, well, Christopher Warnock makes a lot of talismans and he does that kind
Mhm.
of work. Do you do that kind of work?
Yeah, so I studied under him for the purposes of knowing how to make a talisman with integrity. My Saturn really emphasizes integrity in my life, so you'll hear me say that word a lot. So I was able to learn, the different criteria of electing for a good talisman, the images, the sources, citing the sources, which was my favorite thing that he did. Like, don't take my word for it. Here's where I'm getting it. And that way you can sort of remove yourself from the responsibility and the ego of the equation, and you can just do the work, which is fantastic. And I've had some really cool talismans that I've been able to work with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now I have to dig in. I know this is a long time getting to know you, but we really don't know you that well, and
Yeah.
I've kind of met you over the years and kind of wanted to know you better. But so okay, so tell me what kind. It seems like you're a Hellenistic astrologer, or what is your lineage of astrology?
So I come from the Hellenistic background. I do a lot with Hellenistic and traditional. I've been exploring a lot of world astrology via the Persians and Abu Mashar and that kind of stuff, which has been really fun too. I stick mostly in the traditional realm, um, and I'm just kind of running around in the past right now and enjoying all of it.
Mhm. So when you read charts, do you use things like bounds and profections?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I use the Hellenistic timing techniques primarily. Yeah.
okay, interesting.
It takes me like an hour to study a chart because I'll use a bunch of techniques at the same time to see what's really popping.
Okay, interesting. So you mentioned that you just speaking of kind of Hellenistic things, you just went to Cayley, the Cayley Library in Olympia to see Jen's art, and what were you doing there?
Yeah, so Jen and Cameron were hosting a fixed star summer camp kind of situation, and I wanted to get more acquainted with the fixed stars, and they were talking about making astrolabes and sundials, and I'm not super strong in math and calculation, so I wanted to be there to do some hands-on understanding of the math that goes into things and like applying it to the sky and being able to connect the chart to the sky that we're actually standing beneath. And I was able to do that, which is fantastic. So we had a really educational weekend of just diving into using the images of the constellations, contrasting and even combining tropical with sidereal in certain cases to add even more layers of meaning. So that was fun.
Was it a big group, or how many people were there?
There were a couple people there in person, and then we had some people online joining us as well.
Okay.
Probably in the realm of, I didn't count them, but somewhere around the 10 to 15, maybe, I'd say.
Oh, interesting. Cameron's well, I don't know if I can say this, but Cameron's a cutie. Like
Mm.
I'm sorry, but he's so young and he and I had a good conversation at Norwalk about so Jay-Z Cameron is a guy who studies kind of like ancient Egyptian.
Babylonian, yeah. I love that kind of stuff too, so I was really eating it up.
Yeah, and he's maybe like in his early 20s, he's like 23 or something like that, but he's obviously going to be somebody in astrology. And so he and I had a good talk about Valens and stuff. He's kind of in the, phase of reading Valens and things. So, okay,
Wait, I want to ask a question about this because so yesterday Andy and I were talking with someone else about a couple other people about like, can you choose your chart and like if you like it in one system but not another, or like then there's like the difference between tropical and like the two systems are off like 23 degrees like,
Mhm.
and then all these house systems, like how do you sort that out? What do you like? You said something of like I look at them and then see what pops. What,
Well,
tell us
that's with
more.
timing techniques. So I look at timing techniques and see which planets have a lot of strength and are popping.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I was referring to in there. As
Oh,
far
okay.
as either or sidereal, or tropical. I literally just learned this over the weekend, so I've got to sit with it for a while to come up with what I truly believe about it, and I've got to play with it and that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I was really fascinated by, and one of the things I look forward to exploring, is using kind of the imagery and the archetypes of both and seeing how they could blend together to add even more nuance. And we did get to use our own charts and study each other's charts. And I found some really compelling stuff that's going to really contribute to my research on that. Yeah.
Interesting. Is your trine like far enough in that if you move it back, it'll still be a water trine?
No, it
Or
goes
does it
air.
move back to air?
Yeah, it goes air, which is funny because I have no air really in my chart, at least in concrete, like actual planets. So in tropical, I don't. But I've always like if you ask me what my superpower would be, it would be flying. So it's really neat to see that as the sky's interpretation coming down. I'm currently working with the thought of, tropical being the earth looking out and sidereal being the sky looking in, and how that conversation might work. So there's something to explore there.
Interesting. Well, and we're in the tropical zone here, so you can be all watery here and
Yeah.
you cry or anything. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
definitely relate well to my tropical chart. So I do like it.
Interesting. Well, okay, so I know we're supposed to talk about something called foreign spiritual exploration, but when I was walking around the park prepping for this show, what I really wanted to ask you about, KrystaLyn, and I don't know why you particular, but I want to know what you think the future of astrology is, because like it just seems like because you make a podcast and a lot of people make podcasts nowadays and everyone's living on YouTube and stuff. And it's like, what do you think the future is? And we've done the Hellenistic thing and we've done all this. So where is astrology going for these young people?
Honestly, I think from my own experience and what I ideally would like to do moving forward from where I've come from, and just what I'm seeing in my friends and people who are also coming into astrology, and me just tracking the transits and kind of archetypes that I feel coming up with that, I feel like we're going to have to sit with some of the ancient stuff for a while until we get used to it. And then from there, we can say, okay, we've built a new stage for us to stand upon because we have this information that maybe we didn't have access to before. How do we feel about it? And from there, we can start kind of getting ahead again and developing again. And so rather than just studying the past, we can build upon the past instead of, like before we had access to these documents, we were just sort of building upon observation and kind of recreating the wheel, which to some success for sure. But I think it's really great to have access to what people thought before so that we can read that from them and then build upon it and further it. One of the things I learned from Chris Warnock that I really appreciated was he mentions like, as you're learning this, you become a link in the chain. So you are an extension of everything that comes before you, and you further it, and you might contribute it to another link. Someone may become a link after you. So I love the idea of continuing the links on the chain, and hopefully that chain doesn't get broken again.
Well, okay, so yeah, there's something called a lit review, which is when you go into the past and you look at everything that's been done in a field. And I feel like you know, we're in this huge lit review looking back at the Hellenistic times. And so, um, it's like, so you're saying that after we do this big kind of review of what's been done, that you think people will kind of keep going into the future.
I do. I think, especially since we're going to have to figure out, do we continue to use asteroids? And there's a lot of compelling evidence for asteroids, right? So how do we integrate those? If we do pick up on more solar system bodies, do we use those as well? Because we can see them, do we use them? Or because they can't see us by light, right? By visibility, do we give them a different sort of qualifier? And because we have this amazing access to new technologies and new awarenesses of our actual universe, we get to be the ones to experiment with that. And Lord only knows if we'll be the ones also discerning astrology from a different planet perspective in the solar system at some point.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, do you think then there'll be a melding of, like you're saying, because there's like the planets that are visible nowadays, and then there's like the ancient traditional planets. So do you think that there's going to be like kind of like a melding of Hellenistic with futuristic methods, or do you think there's going to be some Hellenists and then some kind of modernists, or like is it going to be neo-Hellenistic or?
I think you're going to have all of the above, right? There are going to be people who really love specializing in something, like we already have now, right? You have people who specialize in evolutionary astrology, Hellenistic astrology, the Islamicate era. So there's always going to be room for people to specialize, just as with any other practice. You know, you see it in theology and things as well. So we'll have people who specialize, but I think we're going to see, I already integrate the outer planets into my practice. So I do consider them. I also am part of the educational lineage of Demetra too. So I kind of bring that consideration into it. There are some things I really love about what I've learned, and there are some things that I'm still just checking in on and seeing how I feel about it, as I think everybody should do when they're trying to figure out where they stand on something. But yeah, I think eventually we'll come to have to rectify, like, do we do all the things, and how busy is that chart going to be? And where do we create that filter? Where do we draw the boundary? And who draws a boundary where? Because just like house systems, you know, you find something that works for you. So some people may use certain aspects of things, and other people may use different ones, and they will find the clients, or the clients will find them, who need to hear how they interpret.
Yeah. Um, okay. So another question I have then is, okay, so you're a podcaster, right? Like how often do you do your podcast?
We are a weekly podcast.
So is that your only podcast that you make?
That's my only podcast. I do some live broadcasts with people sometimes as well.
Mhm.
Vivi Henriette and I will do sometimes monthly, but it's been a little bit sporadic lately. Vivi's doing an incredible job creating another astrological gathering that's going to hopefully be more annual, the LA Astro Fest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So then how do you think that podcasting and these things are going to change the future of astrology, or is this just how astrology is going to be? Is it like any working astrologer? Because every working astrologer I know has to show up on YouTube or whatever. But like, what is that? Can you be a working astrologer and not podcast, or how does that work?
I think you absolutely can. I know several astrologers who do not have any social media presence whatsoever, but word of mouth is enough for them. And I do think, even just, you know, having been in the influencer realm since 2020, and being among other people who have reached even stronger followers than I have, and seeing how they're working with things and just the trend of the way things are going. Even, you know, people are developing influencers using AI, so you're not going to need humans to be your influencers anymore at some point if they continue that. So we're going to have to pivot. And so for me, social media and podcasting and all those things are a very top level way of outreach. They are an awareness concept. So it's, this is how you can interact with me. This is me meeting you on the side of the road. And then you decide if we have a connection, and you follow me a little bit deeper. And that's where you might visit my website and see if we should have a consultation together, and that kind of thing. And that's sort of how the digital space works right now. I personally feel like we're going to move to a bit more of a community focused space at some point. And I'm already trying to think of, you know, how do we create awareness in the next iteration beyond influencer social media, whatever that's going to be? How do we make sure that we are still discoverable to the people who need us, and we can still be as effective and useful?
Yeah, I don't know why I wanted to ask you that specifically. I think it's because you have a podcast, and you make your podcast with somebody who's kind of went viral, right?
Yeah, so Em and I both have a pretty nice following on TikTok, and Em did go viral overnight, and that was really fun to watch. Um,
How did that change your guys' lives?
well, it gave us more access to people. And so we were able to reach people, which meant we were able to help more people, and we were able to build stronger communities. And pretty much all of my friends now come from who I was able to connect with via social media because of the reach that we have. They are the people who ended up coming on our trips, and then we got to know them. And then now we have people that come on every trip, and I consider them friends. So it's really changed my whole world. And honestly, in most ways, for the better.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wait, what are your trips?
Yeah, so because we have this awareness, a travel company reached out to us and said, we organize trip itineraries, and then you can just run the trip, host the trip, and add in whatever you want to do. So we add in workshops throughout the trip. Every day on the trip, we're teaching something, whether it's spiritual connection techniques, spiritual hygiene, how to work with your own energy. I inevitably do something astrological. I inevitably make a folk magic talisman for everybody. We end up having a really good time. And so 3 times a year, we travel to a different country for the purposes of observing how they approach spirituality, how they they connect with whatever pantheon is part of their spiritual practice or how their history is contributed to it, whatever sacred sites there are. And then we just get to appreciate it and see A, how it's different, but also B, how archetypally there is some overlap there, which really gives you permission to believe what you feel like you want to believe and follow your truth because there's an underlying truth under every kind of iteration that we've found. And you get to see them all and experience the world and have community where you don't have to hide it or filter it or anything like that. It's one of the biggest blessings in my life.
Oh, nice. Do you get a lot of Sagittariuses on your trips?
Believe it or not, not really. I think we get a lot of people who weren't going to travel without this group, right? So we get a
Ah,
lot of people
right,
who
right.
needed the community to give them the oomph. We
Oh,
do
right.
have some Sagittariuses, like M's husband comes on the trip with us. He is absolutely a Sagittarius, down to like he runs like a horse, and he usually has long hair, which just flows like a horse mane. It's incredible. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So is
Oh,
this
do you
one?
have, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I'm still stuck on the trips.
Okay.
Like,
Well, the
what
trips are good
kind of,
because we want people to know about KrystaLyn's trips.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
We
what
want
kind
people to be tripping on trips.
Yeah. What kind of charts come to your trips then? Is it like Pisces people? Is it Aquarius people? Or can you not really like
So
say?
I don't calculate every person's chart 'cause sometimes there's like 20 to 30 people on the trip. And if I'm
Yeah,
giving free readings the entire trip, I will be exhausted.
yeah, yeah.
I typically will get to like I tomorrow I have a consultation with two people who were from the last trip. So I'll be studying
Okay.
their charts and going over it. You get a lot of earthy people though.
Oh,
There's a lot of
interesting.
earth and a lot of water that end up coming on these trips.
Oh, right, right.
Mhm.
Because maybe they want to travel and see other places in the earth. What
Yeah.
kind of places have you gone to?
So we've done Greece, we've done Egypt, we went to Ireland, we just got back from Iceland. We're doing Thailand, we did Japan, and next year we've got Germany and Peru.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
we're looking at China after that, and Turkey is on the list,
Wait, is this
India.
your full-time job?
It's one of my primary incomes, yeah. Consultations is another thing I do, and then Emily and I, in addition to the podcast, will also do joint programs where you kind of have learning throughout the year. Right now, we're doing DD Academy, where we get to explore and research different pantheons and just compare the mythos and the origin stories and all that.
So you guys teach together essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what I went to your book club? Is that a different thing or is that the same?
That's just my personal Patreon. And those were my personal students that come to me because we do folk magic and astrology, and then a book club because one of the things I found, if you've noticed my background here, is the more reading I get to do, the more confident I feel in being able to say that like it's a doubt buster for me. You know, I've done some reading, I have this contextual stuff, I've really been able to integrate things. So doing it with a group really helps. So it's called the I think it's Ancient Wisdom Book Club. But basically we'll read source texts together so that you don't have to do it on your own and it's better accountability. I have weekly questions that kind of help it go. And then every month we meet together and sort of synthesize in a group chat, which is what you had joined us for.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Mhm.
So sorry, Jay-Z, do you have another question?
No, no, back to you.
Okay, so what we had slated to talk about today was foreign spiritual exploration. Now, is
Yes.
that these trips that you go
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
trips.
okay. All right, so let's talk more about this. So it's foreign because they're different countries,
Yes.
and it's
And
spiritual.
because it's unfamiliar.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, that's true. Okay, and then it's spiritual exploration because of the content that you teach there.
Yes. Yeah. We actually will have a host or a guide in every location. And we meet with them before we meet with any of the travelers. And we just say, like, here, they actually have a little guide that we send to them. It's like, this is what we want to focus on. We want to make sure we avoid any appropriation, but we want to appreciate as much as we can. And if there's anything that's not in the itinerary that you know of that is spiritually significant, please give us that exposure so that we can have more awareness and education.
Okay.
So it ends up being very tailored. It's awesome.
So when you how do you choose the countries that you go to? Because it's like because I know that like Demetra's taken trips and with people and a lot of astrologers do this where they take people to different countries.
Mhm.
But the I think that I think maybe Demetra's taking people to Greece and things because of the Vedic Valens and all that kind of stuff. So how do you choose the locations?
The company that we partner with has itineraries, and we get to pick from that list of itineraries, and then we just intuitively decide. Like Em and I will just sit together, look at the itineraries, and say, what do we think the people who will come on these trips need? And so we try to just channel into the energy of the people who are already going to be there. And we choose a location for that. And then I will astrologically request certain dates and weeks that we can have the trip during to make it as positive experience as possible for the people who are traveling with us.
Wait, are the people signed up without knowing where they're going yet?
No, we just try to tune into who's going to be there. So we try to get ahead of it a little bit. And then
Oh,
we launch the trip and
psychically, who
people,
you
yes,
feel
yeah,
the energy of who
yeah,
is going to be there. All
yeah,
right. Right on.
yeah.
So how many people come on one trip?
We are fortunate. Our trips typically do sell out. So some tr itineraries are like 12 to 15 people. Some can be upwards of 20, or we end up with 25 when it comes down to like everybody being there.
Wow. And then do you book the hotels and all that, or do they do that?
They do that. Yeah. So we just basically show up and teach. And it's really nice and convenient. And the research that they've put in to working with good travel companies in the locations and good guides within those travel companies. I've met some incredible people. I have now friends in like several different countries that when we go back, we've done Egypt technically 3 times now because Egypt sold out so fast. We just added another week and did a second trip back to back. And we got to hang out with our guide there for a whole 3 weeks. And it was just amazing because he's such a good friend now.
Mhm. Mhm. So when you meet up with somebody and you say he's a good friend, like how do you keep that friendship going? Do you hang out with him?
We have conversations in our group chats and we have had video conversations and that kind of stuff too. And we're connected on social media, so we comment on each other's content as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the anatomy of a trip. So it's 1 week long.
Typically, they'll be anywhere from like a 5 day trip to a 7 day trip most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you get up in the morning, does everyone eat breakfast on their own or how does that work?
The hotel typically will provide a breakfast, and we will have at least 2 dinners that the trip provides for people so that we can get together on that. And between that, our guides usually recommend where we should go. We usually all stick together, so it's really fun.
Interesting. So and then what about lunch? Do you have so it's like wait, you have breakfast and then is it like teaching all day or is it like
Well, there's an itinerary of things to do in the country. So, for example, if we're in Egypt, day one typically is visiting the pyramids of Giza and then going to the Cairo Museum, and we get to pop into a papyrus place for a little while. And so we have breakfast all together. We go to the pyramids of Giza, and then you might have something that you have for lunch, like on the bus from one location to another, or we'll stop at a market and everybody can get something, or whatever's happening. We go to the next event, and then later that night, we all have dinner together. And we'll plug workshops in throughout the day as needed. We've done animal communication when we've done camel rides. We do channeled history where you kind of view into what did this look like before? Is there any energy around here of a person who would like to connect with you and tell you more? That kind of stuff. And then astrology, if I can connect it, which usually I can.
and do you ever like bring in guest speakers or Zoom people in or anything like that?
No, we haven't done that. We're usually on the move, so having a computer isn't easy.
So it's just you and Emily doing the workshops?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's you two and like 15 to 25 people.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Susie?
No,
Yeah, I think like, I'm trying to think about what else,
fascinating.
yeah.
Mhm.
Trying to think about what else we should let the people watching know. What else would you want people to know about your trips?
Yeah, so my favorite thing about the trips is that we are always really fortunate that the people who end up coming on a trip, I told you we kind of try to psychically tune into the trip before it even happens. And inevitably, the people who show up on the trip, we will create a group chat just to stay connected throughout the entire time. Every single one of those group chats is still active to this day, even after the trips are over, because people by the time we meet are already acting like they've been friends for at least a couple weeks. So there's never been any awkwardness, and there's always a certain amount of openness, of exploration, of people validating each other's intuitive experiences. It's everything I wish I had growing up as an intuitive person. So it's really wonderful to be able to facilitate that for people, to create not only an amazing trip where you're getting all this great experience and cultural immersion, but you get to really explore your spirituality with a safe group of people, not just one friend who's your spiritual friend, but you get an entire group of people who are now your spiritual friends that will understand what you're saying and what you're relating to as you take that back home. And so our big thing is you're going to feel the magic so strongly in this location, but we're going to make sure you work that muscle well enough over the week that you can take it home and it doesn't go away.
Now,
And where's home for most of these people?
All over the place. We all over the United States, Canada. We've had people come in from a lot of different places.
so do you and Emily actually talk to all the group chats? I mean, you've gone on tons of trips, so I mean,
Yeah.
how do you keep up with all that?
After a certain point, I will turn off the notifications so I'm not overwhelmed. But when I see a lot of conversation happening in a certain chat, if someone's bringing up things and I see question marks, that's usually my thing where I'll go in and say, is there something I can help with? Since I'm technically, one of the mentors in the chat, can I contribute? But the beautiful thing is they are supporting themselves so well. So when I go in there, usually it's me just encouraging someone and saying they're doing a great job, and then offering, here's like a resource that you can explore to get even more out of it. But I don't have to be pushy. I don't have to be like moderating. It's just a nice community chat. So, and again, I'm really fortunate. There's a lot of overlap between those now because some people have come on trips and they now come on every single one. And so if I've missed something in a chat, they'll message me and be like, hey, there's something happening over here. Can jump in? So it's really helpful.
Wow. You
Mhm.
must have a really large bandwidth for people.
I I do and then I don't. I'm on and then I turn off. So I will either typically have a room to myself on these trips or someone that I'm very comfortable around. Like if I cry, I'm not upset crying around this person because I am autistic, right? So this is my special interest and I get to go off on it and people are literally paying to come listen to me talk about the thing I'm passionate about and I want them to feel like I want it to feel like it's their birthday all week long, to be
Oh.
truly honest. That's why we bring them gifts and we like set up so many things. We give them postcards to write to themselves and we write messages on them. We set it up to be hopefully really incredible. And then at the end of the day, I get back to my room and it's just shedding all of that off and like really grounding out and taking a minute because the next day I get to do it again. And I think being in theater as a kid really prepared me for that. I would do 3 shows a summer as a kid. So I have that energy. But I also need to have the ability to have space when I need to recharge.
Yeah, there's that stem down stem dance
Mhm.
that you do when you're autistic of just like
Yep.
you if you weren't teaching all day on your perseverant interest, you probably would be understimmed, but then you kind of overstim yourself by the end of the day and then you have to go down stim in your room and like it's just a stem festival, sounds
Yeah,
like.
one of the things I like to do to make sure I'm still facilitating community, as we have journal parties. So at the end of the night, we'll take oracle cards in our journals and we just sit at a table and you can pull cards for yourself or you can do it for each other. But it's this nice quiet time where I get to journal everything out, which is very grounding for me. And then also I'm available if there are questions so I can jump in and there's no like fear of missing out or fear of neglecting anybody. And then everybody gets to record things and have this experience of offering readings to each other, which a lot of people haven't done before they've come on these trips, but they feel more confident by the end of the trip doing that for themselves and for other people. And they get to validate each other because it's a whole group of people there who are kind of helping you flesh out interpretations.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to ask a bad question, but I feel like it would be a bad question, but I kind of want to ask it anyway.
Ask it, and I can always say no if I don't want to answer it.
Okay, so have you ever had somebody like annoying on the trip and then you're like, what do you do?
I mean, so you're gonna
Other than
have
your own
energies on a
self. I
trip,
mean, I know
right?
when you're
Where
autistic, you annoy your own self, but
yeah, there are days where I'm not prepared for the energy And, we're not always at our best energies, right? So I think everybody's got a fantastic version of themselves. And then there are some days where it's like, yeah, that's a little bit more than I can handle right now. And that's when I have to know myself because there's still a level of professionalism here, right? It's not me throwing a party and I can exclude you. It's the people who are there and they're supposed to be there because they're there. So I
Because they
believe
paid
that
to be
everybody,
there. I
yeah,
mean,
they
true.
paid to be there. And
Yeah.
I believe everybody on this trip is there for that experience. And I'm going to show up for them, whether my personal, stuff gets in the way or not. I can be a professional. And I want to give them every experience. And who knows, this person that maybe doesn't have an energy that rubs me the right way initially might experience some kind of a revelation or a growth, or they might be teaching me something, and I need to be aware of that. So it's very much about observing and being a witness to the energies and the feelings and mental states that we're in at any given time.
That was a very politically correct answer.
I'm good at that.
It makes me want to come on your trip and be annoying to see what happens. No, I'm just kidding.
When I have to hold boundaries, I will.
Oh my God, I'm sure on the right transit I could really put you through a number, but
Please don't.
I don't want. No, as a remediation artist, I'd be transmuting my own energy. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that is a lot to be around people for that long and for that many hours a day. And it seems like it's something that you love, so it's not a chore for you. It's a joy for you. But
Yeah, and I've learned how to accommodate myself. Usually after the trip, I will either stay in the location for a day or two to give myself some come down time before having to go to the airport, which is a lot. This past time we went to Iceland, and I hate the cold, so I didn't want to stay in Iceland for longer. I actually went to Oxford, England, and hung out at the Bodleian Library for a couple days, and that was my grounding back in, just some time alone at the Bodleian Library, having curry every day somewhere, which was great. And then I flew home. And that way I came home and I was already decompressed and it was lovely.
nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like so you're a professional and you're in tune with yourself and you have ways of holding boundaries and acting, appropriately. But then you have customers, clients who, paid for an experience and might not always be on their best behavior. That's, I think, the more tricky thing.
We actually have a video series you have to watch before the trip called Spiritual Hygiene. And it's
Uh-huh.
how to be responsible for your own energy, how to ground yourself, how to shield, cleanse, and like if you're feeling overwhelmed, here's some stuff. And that way you already have the training to
Hmm.
be present with your own energy. If there are like interesting transits going on, because sometimes there are. We were in Egypt when Venus stationed retrograde this year. And I was like, listen, here's some things you might be feeling. When you feel this, what are we going to do? We're going to witness it and not take it out on each other. And so if something happened, we'd just be like, Venus retrograde. And then you can be like, oh, right. It's not projection. We can come back to ourselves. There's a lot of counseling skills and self-awareness. Spirituality is as much about healing as anything, right? So mental health and spirituality are very important together. And we try to incorporate all of that. We try to be as ethically responsible as we can possibly be. We're both trained in counseling skills and that kind of stuff too. Mental health, first aid, real like physical first aid, the whole thing.
We're not trying to cause trouble on your trips. We're just kind of
Oh
trying
no.
to do things
No. And it's honestly, it's giving me the opportunity to let people know how much we've considered this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think good astrologers are artists in conflict resolution in a lot of ways because the astrological layer can understand things like, oh, that there's a weird energy, this
Mhm.
planet might be at work. And like, so I think I actually astrologers would be who I would want to be on a trip,
Yeah.
stuck on a trip with, and actually not stuck. It sounds like you guys are in a joy space there, but I think, we're just I think both of us are a little bit we're Pisces people, and so we're like, I can't imagine wanting to go be stuck for 7 days with a bunch of 25 people. I'd just be like, oh my God. Like I do things in like hour-long increments, you know. So
Mhm.
I find it to be amazing. But you're a Taurus. Like Tauruses are kind of steady and stable, and that I can see where you
Yeah.
feel like a
I'm
peace.
also a Virgo midheaven in
Okay.
the 11th.
Okay.
So,
Are you a
yeah.
Sag rising?
I'm a Scorpio rising.
Oh, Scorpio rising.
Right.
Double Scorpio. I can't believe it. Okay, so that
And
seems
I've got that. It's a gibbous nearly full moon in my chart on the angles. I was born at sunset and moonrise.
yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Did you get your chart beats?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't checked my mailbox. I literally just got home from the airport this morning and then kind of crashed because I only had 3 hours of sleep. I haven't
Okay.
checked the mailbox.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So I think we covered everything about the trips. How can people join your trips if they want to?
Yeah, we have several that are open right now. We've got a Greece one that's available. Peru has some spots on it. Thailand is coming up fast, but there are a couple spots if you want to be able to jump in and you know you want to go. I think we have like 4 spots that you could grab on there. I'm so excited for Thailand. That's coming up in end of September. We're going to Peru next over the spring equinox, but it'll be their fall equinox, which is really cool. And then next summer we'll be in Greece in June, and then spoiler, we're going to Germany next fall. So that's not launched yet, but it's going to be coming up. So if any of those sound like, man, I really want to do that, you can either go to I'm at KrystaLyn Sofia everywhere. So if you just look up KrystaLyn Sofia on any of your favorite sites and go to the link in my profile, I have the link there to be able to look at all of our trips in one spot so that you can see what fits you best and what you actually want to do the most.
That's Krista. It's KRISTALYN and then SOFIA.
Yes, Sophia, the German spelling,
Okay.
because that's where my lineage comes from.
Is your website crystallinsofia.com?
It is, yeah.
Okay, okay. So
Really
just
lucky to have a unique
Google
name.
KrystaLyn Sofia and you can find these trips.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, if
Is
you
it,
look up KrystaLyn and Emily, we come up pretty well together as well. That you'll find the podcast and our trips and that kind of stuff.
how did you meet Emily?
So we're both authors and we both prefer fiction. But we were trying to kind of navigate the publishing world and to get like our foot in the door. So we both joined the same nonfiction book writing program. Emily joined the month after I did, and we both bonded over like, I actually don't want to be doing this. I want to be doing fiction, but this is how I'm going to game the system. And when we got out of that, I was in my Saturn return and was about to start hers. And I had written this book right here on how to write a fiction story to be a healing modality. So you're kind of walking someone through the archetypal process of healing something through the analog of a character rather than having to be super close to it and feeling a little triggered. So it's a good companion to therapies or to other techniques. And wanted to start a program. And I was like, well, how about we make this the curriculum? And so we decided to try it. And then, right as we were getting ready to launch it, and went viral. And then I followed suit. And so we had a lot of people who were interested. And we started a writing program, which we're going to be doing again very soon. We took a little bit of time off to get our trips kind of organized in a way that we could make sure we're dedicating enough time to each thing. And we help people write books.
Wait, so how did she go viral?
She was just talking about spirituality, and it was 2020 TikTok. So it was during the pandemic, and anything was able to happen at that time.
Hmm.
It's just wild.
Is she still really popular then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Um, okay, so it seems like you're kind of a producer. You produce all kinds of things. Like, do you identify with just hosting events and kind of making content? And I mean, it seems like you're always in charge, like in charge of a trip, in charge of a class. We do want to hear about your classes.
Yeah, I really like creating spaces where people can get validation and excitement and knowledge and all of those things. So that Virgo midheaven, my Mercury is near my sun in Taurus. So I really do like to just like put things together in a way that's like, here, I made this big bridge out of toothpicks for you. Now you can walk it to wherever you want to go. And so I love that kind of stuff. So I find ways to do that that also satisfies that Jupiter and Cancer. So traveling and publishing and astrology.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about your classes that
Yeah.
you teach. What do you do there?
Yeah, so I use Patreon as my base for this because it's just a really useful tool. It's called the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom, but if you Google KrystaLyn Sofia, you'll find me. And so we do a couple meetups a month, and we have an ongoing group chat where we'll alternate one folk magic lesson each month, so you can get into the like how to make magic every day and like how to bring more magical qualities into your everyday life. And then we also do astrology, so people are learning from the ground up astrology. I'm starting earlier in history. I'm going to take them all the way to modern so that they can see every part of it, knowing and building one layer at a time so that they can decide what path they want to do at that point. Um, and then we also have the book club. And there are certain tiers on there as well where I do like a magical election every month. And so you'll get that and I'll give you suggestions on like on this day at this time, adjust your chart accordingly. This is something you might want to be able to do.
So just to be clear, so you have a book club that meets once a month.
Yes, and we have post discussions weekly.
And are there spaces open in that?
Yeah, yeah, it's unlimited spaces.
Okay. And how many people
So,
are, go ahead.
well, what's the format of this? Is there like a Discord for it, or is this like on Patreon's like
Yeah, so it's
app
Patreon's
or
tiered
something?
system, and you join through there. And then, depending on which tier you pick, you might get a group chat access, or I will post weekly, and we'll have a discussion in a thread on a post in Patreon, or it depends on the tier.
Oh, I see. And it's through like their web UI or
Mhm.
something?
Yeah, I have everything set up in there. So if you purchase the tier that requires more links and stuff, you'll get a document. And in there, I have like, start here. This is what you're going to need for this. This is what you're going to need for this. Here's everything we've done so far, so you can take it at your own pace, and you don't have to feel like you're running behind, but you can also still join us and feel included.
Oh, I see. I see.
Mhm.
And then so the group chats that you were talking about before for the people who came on
Yeah,
the
each trip has a group chat, and then I also have my students group chat.
right, and that's all also in the Patreon UI somehow?
So no, I just have a link in the appropriate Patreon location to a Telegram chat.
Oh, it's
I
on the
use
tab.
Telegram for that because it's a good private app and it's got really good emojis and you can share GIFs really easily so people can get interactive in there and I like it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, I see. So, but they then have to have a Telegram account.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, right on. Sorry, I get kind of technical
Yeah,
sometimes.
no,
I'm
I'm
real
glad to hear
He's
curious.
a
it.
hacker. He doesn't flaunt it, but that's kind of his wheelhouse.
Makes
He'll break
sense.
into our computers later. Okay, so I want to ask the tacky question of how much does it cost to be involved in the book club?
The book club I think is $50 a month.
$50 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
So that gets you and now do you guys meet for like 1 hour or 2 hours or how long?
We do an hour-long conversation, but we have ongoing conversations each week as the book progresses. So, if you can read the book at your own pace, which is great. So there's going to be like a book discussion one for this month, book discussion two for this month, and I give benchmarks of like if you want to read it in this month, here you go. But if you want to go back to another month, you can always just post on that post, and I will have read that book, so I'll go in and I'll respond to what your feedback is on that part of the book. So it doesn't matter what order you do if you don't
So
want to
people
read.
discuss the book as they're reading in a discussion post, but
Yeah.
then you meet physically one. So you're paying $50 a month, but you're really getting like this entertainment throughout the month kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is constant availability to have a conversation and to discuss it. And yeah,
Okay, you're pretty much like a little professor.
I would like to be. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I actually am.
astrology,
Yeah,
sorry,
I am
you're
working
gonna
with
have to
some
be your,
colleges.
sorry, what?
Oh, I was just saying I do collaborate with some colleges.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Jay?
Well, are these people who participate in things like the book club and stuff, are they mostly from the States or are they from other places as well?
I don't know. I mean, we all speak English, so that I'm aware of. But I think they could be the United States and Canada, and I've got people from a bunch of different places.
Mm.
Interesting. So are some of these people in people who go on your trips? Like, do you get like cross
Yeah, it's funny.
pollination?
You would think that my Patreon and my social media would lead to the trips, but the trips will frequently get me more clients. So people will talk to me on the trips, and I'll do a little bit of astrology with them when we have time, and then they'll like the two people I get to talk to tomorrow will be like, I want a deeper dive, and I'm like, cool. Here's my link, and I can actually dedicate time to studying your chart, and I can dedicate time to answering your specific questions. And so that is one of the main ways that my client base is also sustained.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
And it's
Yeah, I
great because
found,
I know them well by that point. So I get to
yeah,
talk to people I like.
I always found that the best way to market astrology readings is to teach. because for whatever reason, then they get to know you well enough that they're like, and I would like you to read my chart. But it's like it's the best way to get astrology clients, actually.
Yeah, because they get to see how your mind is working and like the way you read and the style and your approach to sharing. You know, if you make them excited about it, then they want to be excited about their chart with you.
Yeah,
And I'm definitely excited about it. So
yeah, totally. Well, you're autistically excited. Sorry, Daisy.
Well, what is striking to me is it seems like you do a lot of work, and it seems like you're always doing stuff like touching this, then touching that, then touching this, then touching that, and keeping everything going all the time. Like, do you need vacations from this?
This is a conversation my husband brought up recently. He was like, we're going to save up some side money and do some travel where you're not working. And then, that can be like a vacation thing because I'm getting to go to all these places with friends. And so I have a really good time. And then I recover for a couple days. And then I come home and like literally got back from my last trip today. This is my longest stint home for the entire year. I'm actually home for almost an entire month. So that's exciting. I usually travel probably once a month and I enjoy it. It's really great. So I just like getting as much out of life as I can. I love having experiences and stories, and I always look forward to something that's going to give me more of those.
Wait, what's your husband do?
He is actually he is the supervisor of our county's building inspections. So
Interesting. So he's
he's
got like a
really good at
steady
benefits.
Eddie
Yeah.
paycheck, and you're more like project based kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's really helpful because like I certainly can't provide myself with insurance, being as entrepreneurial as I am. So it's really nice to have his benefits and I appreciate what he does a lot and he's fantastic at it.
Nice.
So
Nice. How long you been married?
we have been married since 2016, the day before my birthday.
Wow, that's a
Uh,
long time.
yeah, yeah, we've been together since 2012.
You're young. Wait, aren't were you like 10 when you got together?
I'm 35.
Okay, so you were essentially
I
like,
was 25 when I got married. Yeah.
oh my God, that is so young for nowadays. I mean, most people, the millennials get married when they're like 50 or something.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we've covered the book club and the trips. Now tell us the classes. Is
Yeah.
that okay? Tell us more about the classes.
So the classes, basically what I do is I work with a lot of neurodivergent folks. And being a neurodivergent person, I think one of the things that that draws my students to me is I can explain things in a way that actually helps them make sense of it. So I use a lot of analogy. I use a lot of like, where are you seeing, how's it being pictured for you and how can we anchor it in? So there's a lot of high touch personal education that goes into it. And so we'll do a folk magic session each month. And so we'll learn about different energy healing modalities, or we focused on incense making and tincture making and like, how to build your apothecary or start your grimoire. Everybody's got, I will give them like grimoire pages on occasion and be like, add this to your grimoire, however you like. Every week they get a newsletter from me that's like, here's the astrology that's going on as above. Here's how to use it, so below. And that's also on my free tier. People can just like it on Patreon and you'll get as above, so below every week. And then I go in even deeper with resources and practical spells to do every week. So you can be doing something every week with an awareness of the astrology and what to do with it. So you can start drawing those pattern connections. And then we meet I think it's twice for the student studies. Even though if you're a student, you also get access to everything below that. So you're also in the book club and you're also, getting the elections and all those things. So they get to meet technically 3 times a month, but two of those are the lessons. And so we're learning astrology so that they can understand charts and transits and like really understand from the ground up what they're looking at when they're looking at a chart. And then we'll do folk magic so they can understand how to do the different things of folk magic. And that will vary. Like we'll focus on something for a while, and when we complete it, I'll ask them where they're at. What are they interested in? And we'll sort of vote on what we want to do next because we have all the time in the world. So we'll just do all of it.
Interesting. And when do those classes meet?
Um, There's three. Usually we meet on Thursdays. I like to use Jupiter Day. Um, so we'll meet on Thursdays, 3 Thursdays out of the month. You typically the first Friday is our book club, usually. And then the next 2 Thursdays will like is are usually the lessons, but because of my travel, sometimes I have to move them around. So I have a shared calendar. And if I move it, you just automatically get it on your calendar. and that way everybody knows.
Nice. And are those 2 hour classes or 1 hour class?
The lessons are an hour and a half. I like to build in some social time at the end, so I'll usually teach for at least an hour. We do some questions and make sure it's integrated, and then usually for at least 10 or 15 minutes, we just turn the recording off and hang out for a while. The book club is an hour long, talking about the book and usually socializing as well.
Nice. So this everyone can find on KrystaLyn.com or it's
Mhm.
KrystaLynSofia.com.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered all the things you do. Is there anything we missed?
Um, I mean, keep an eye out. I'll have more books coming out sometime soon. I've got some good astrology coming out that hopefully means I'll be able to get with a new publisher. So I'm writing a book right now called Tear Down the Sky that is sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender, but with planetary magic. So I'm trying to, it's going to have a companion to it that actually tells you everything from the book that is actual astrological magic references or Babylonian priest references or any other kind of real stuff. So you can not only get a fiction book that you enjoy, but then get the footnotes and know the source text that you can actually explore it more. So it should be a teaching tool at the same time.
What are the other books you've written?
Um, I've got books here. They're not complete. I have a third and fourth book that need to come out in the series, but Shifted and Stranded are the two books. It's basically what if you're a spirit guide and it's the end of the world and you're trying to make sure it ends appropriately by, influencing the person that you're guiding. So that's Shifted and Stranded. And then I've got a couple other anthology stuff and Writing the High Vibe Hero's Journey is over here. Stuff I wrote when I was like 16. That's kind of embarrassing. So yeah,
You're very prolific.
I try. I get bored easily, so I gotta have something to do.
Oh my God. That's the same with me. That's why I do so much stuff. It's just like, what else am I going to do with my day? You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yep.
So,
Yeah, I'm reading Mesopotamian religions and Babylonian astrology right now as research for the current book, so I can do a couple revisions before trying to get with an agent. Yeah.
oh.
Mhm.
Well, anything you have left, Jay-Z? We have 2 minutes.
No, it's been a great meeting you, KrystaLyn, and yeah, it's all totally fascinating. What a whirlwind. And it sounds like your trips are really super fun and uh I can envision, yeah, like why people want to go on them repeatedly, you
Oh,
know,
that's
and
thank
it
you.
it, it must be awesome because it's like it's a virtuous cycle, right? Like, so when the really awesome people from a previous trip want to go on this one, they kind of like facilitate that one also being
Mhm.
next level, you know?
Yeah, you
And
create like a foundational layer of already really good, and so to build on that, it's really, it's fantastic. I'm very fortunate.
yeah, yeah, that's so cool.
Nice. All right. Well, find KrystaLyn at KrystaLynSofia.com and you will not be bummed. You will be happy because you will be learning astrology and all of these perseverant interests that KrystaLyn has, including everything Moon, Pluto, Scorpio that could ever live. So,
Yeah.
all right, KrystaLyn, thank you so much. And send me that episode that we did, by the way.
Yeah, it's launching this week, so I'm waiting for the
Okay.
link to be available.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, bye, KrystaLyn. Thank you
All
so
right. Thank
much.
you guys. It
Bye,
was a pleasure.
Jay-Z.
Bye.